So good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful to be here with all of you in Atlanta, to be back, to see old friends, meet some new friends, and to be with you, Doug. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh, I'm excited to see you. Thank you very much, Katie.
So you cut the ribbon earlier. What's the vibe, as they say, out on the floor?
Excellent vibe.
Excellent vibes.
Yeah, we're really pleased with the audience thus far, and we had Governor Kemp yesterday.
Oh, fantastic.
To welcome us. And so we did a nice opening ceremony today.
So let's start off with the state of the NRA. Given that we're at the annual meeting, there's a lot of members here, and there's also board members in the crowd, industry leaders. What is the current state of the National Rifle Association?
NRA is very optimistic right now. We're really pleased with where we are as we move forward. It's been a challenging 6-year period or so. I think it's been well chronicled, but that's behind us. We're super excited for the future.
So I know that that chapter is behind you. The NRA is not just another organization in the United States of America. I'm a daughter of the American Revolution. My family takes the Second Amendment very seriously. The NRA has been around for a long, long time, 1871 foundation, and it's an essential part of American culture and preserving American culture and promoting that into the future and protecting the rights of Americans as free citizens in this country. I've done a lot of talking throughout the years and recently with industry leaders and members, and they feel the same exact way. They think the NRA is an essential part of American culture. But when I ask them about the current state of the NRA, they come up with words like corruption, mismanagement, and being untrustworthy. So to those who have maybe left, who were annual members or who were life members who haven't been coming to meetings but still believe in the mission of the NRA, what can you say to them about what's been happening to regain that trust?
Yeah, well, I was elected May 20th, 2024, and my platform was that we were going to rebuild the trust. We wanted to rebuild the trust of the members, the donors, the industry, and our staff. And so I think the fact that I've been out there working 7 days a week and traveling constantly, having town halls, doing interviews like this, and being very consistent in the fact that I've made it clear there will be no malfeasance at the NRA. We have a chief compliance officer now that does not report to me, and we're an open book. If folks want to come to headquarters, they want to talk to folks in our financial services department, we're glad to have you come in. We have nothing to hide.
So what kind of questions or comments do you get when you're working 7 days a week, traveling to meet with these folks, and what do they have to say to you? Generally speaking.
Generally speaking, for example, I was out in California just before Thanksgiving, did a town hall there, and walking into the meeting, it was, the NRA doesn't do anything for California gun owners. And then Dan Reed, who's our state and local managing director, and we were able to communicate that we spend more money litigating in California than any other state in the union. And the two biggest cases going out there are Duncan and Rhodey. Those are 2 NRA cases. And people in the room were, really? Didn't know that.
So what are you doing to make sure people know that?
And that's why we're doing these conversations right now.
So do you have teams of people? I know that we have NRA ILA, which has been essential to a number of Second Amendment fights over the course of many decades. What is the state of the attorneys in the states right now, and also on the national level?
State of attorneys?
States meaning it's attorneys working for ILA in the states to either block or promote Second Amendment legislation.
If I understand correctly, we have the ability to retain representation in those jurisdictions, and depending on what the cases might be, we'll prioritize and we'll get involved.
So California is a focus. Do you have any other states particularly in mind? I know Virginia is about to have a big governor's race. Washington State also a big a state that's having a lot of these Second Amendment fights. Are there any other hot spots on the map that people should be aware of?
Well, I had some conversations with folks from the California Rifle and Pistol Association today. My perception of Colorado all these years was that it was a It was a conservative, free, recreational shooting sports mecca. And that's changed. That's changed dramatically. So there are problems in Massachusetts. Very onerous overreach on the part of the legislature there, supermajority, with a governor who is in lockstep. I was there this past weekend. I was actually in Boston this past weekend.
Yeah, it's amazing how the Northeast has become so anti-gun, given that's where everything started. But we'll get back to that in just a second. Just one more thing on the members. I know that the NRA has lost a number of members over the course of the past 6 years. You want them back. You want them to come home, so to speak. So if I'm someone who's working really hard out in the country, not making a ton of money, but I've been paying my NRA dues every month for my entire life, what is your pitch to them to get them back and to convince them to be a member again, to pay their dues, and also to get involved in their local community to stop pieces of legislation like that at the grassroots level?
Yeah, great question. We are hiring right now, and the focus is on our programs and services under our general operations division. And so we're hiring in our competitive shooting department. We're hiring in our community services area, and community services is related to our clubs and associations. And COVID really hurt us because people couldn't congregate, so club members weren't getting together.
Yeah.
So that didn't help. And then simultaneous to that, we had some other issues in New York State and lawfare, and we all know about that. But so we want to go back to the local communities, and we want to reach out to those folks and offer them education and training. We have 105,000 NRA certified instructors. We've got 20 million first-time gun buyers in the last 6 years or so, of which I'm told 35% are women. So those folks need training. So come to NRA.org, find a trainer, put your zip code in. If you want a female trainer, because you're a lady and you're more comfortable in that environment, we can help you with that. And that's just one area we're investing right now.
So you've offered these members transparency about the things they're concerned with what they say has been corruption and a mismanagement of their hard-earned funds, in addition to offering them things to do that they can get more involved in.
That's correct. That's correct.
So the NRA's main mission for many, many years has been education programs, as you lined out, competition, and Second Amendment advocacy and protection. So can you break down those 4 categories and what the NRA is doing and the optimism that you expressed for the future?
Yeah. So could you say that list? Give me
Yes.
one at a time there.
Education, first of all.
Yeah.
One of the things that I find is that a lot of these anti-gun groups always claim that they are educating or doing gun safety, for example, when they don't do a single thing for education and gun safety. But yet the NRA has a number of programs that people may not know about that they've implemented over the years on every single level, whether it's children or people who are maybe a little older who have never picked up a gun for the first time, who want to but need a place to go to understand how to do that safely. So talk about some of the education programs you have in the NRA that old members can take advantage of, or people who are getting involved with their Second Amendment rights can for the first time.
Sure. Under our education and training, we have 23 basic courses. So that's handgun, rifle, shotgun. It's personal security. It's security outside the home, as an example. Then we have 12 more courses for instructors. So not only are we offering basic training in 23 different areas, but we're training the trainers. So we're bringing folks that are certified but want to go up to the next level so that they can be instructors themselves. I mean, we're the gold standard in education and training. There are a lot of folks that have gone out there and cherry-picked our materials.
Yeah.
Right? But it was NRA who really stood this whole movement up. And if you go to NRA.org, you can take your pick. You can find an instructor across one of those 23 areas if you need basic instruction, or 12 areas if you want to be an instructor yourself.
So instructors sometimes are instructing for competition, and competition is what makes firearms so much fun.
Yeah.
So can you talk about the competition side of what the NRA is doing to promote shooting, not just as a hobby or, of course, as a Second Amendment issue, self-defense, but also as something that you can get involved with for sport?
I'm glad to. I'm very excited about what we're doing in competitive shooting. For example, this past weekend, for the first time, we had our America's Rifle Challenge. So we all know that the AR platform is proliferated, and much of that's been to the support that we've provided the manufacturers in that area. But they were at Camp Atterbury, just outside of Indianapolis, and they shot the competition on Saturday. Weather was just okay. But our director there is Cole McCullough. Cole's a Marine, very organized. He works for Josh Savani, our executive director of general operations. But the plan is to roll out the America's Rifle Challenge across the country. So if you're in Phoenix, if you're in Chicago, if you're in Michigan, Detroit, you can shoot the competition, you can look at your score, and you can see how you place versus folks around the country.
Yeah.
So, and then we have our 3 Bullseye Championships, which will continue. We've moved those to different locations this year. They're not all co-located. But we're also looking at branching out into shotgun, because 70% of competitive shooting comes within the shotgun area. Mm-hmm. And so we think we're going to be doing some of that in the great state of Indiana at Camp Atterbury. They're very receptive to us in Indiana.
Yeah, I would hope so. That's good. We love Indiana. So you touched on the Second Amendment advocacy and defending the rights in places like California and protection, but can you talk about the general position that you believe the Second Amendment is now? We just had an election, a very pro-Second Amendment president. There's been a big shakeup at ATF. They're trying to put in good regulators rather than ones who are out to shut gun shops down. They've repealed this no tolerance rule that was absolutely horrific for gun shops trying to legally sell firearms to law-abiding Americans. So what is the status of the Second Amendment? We know it's always under attack in some way or fashion, but what is the landscape for that?
Yeah, well, the thing that I communicate when I'm out there in public, like today, is Second Amendment rights in the United States of America have never been stronger than they are today because of the National Rifle Association. And it's taken many, many years and many legal precedents that we fought for, and our members, I'll just say it, paid for it. And so the return on the investment that the members have made in the National Rifle Association, they're undeniable. NRA has delivered for law-abiding Second Amendment advocates. The NRA has delivered, and we will continue to deliver.
Can you talk about the Supreme Court case that you won last year, May of 2024, the NRA discrimination case? That was a big one because it also had to do with First Amendment rights. So as we know, they go hand in hand.
Yes. Historic precedent. The case was the National Rifle Association versus Maria Vullo. Maria Vullo was the director of financial services in the state of New York. Mm-hmm. And the thesis on our part was that she conspired with the banks and the insurance companies to not do business with the National Rifle Association. And so our claim was that violates our First Amendment right because of our political advocacy. And so the court met, and they voted 9-0 in favor of the National Rifle Association. And you're pretty well read in these areas. In my opinion, the court realized that if you were in a conservative jurisdiction and a conservative Department of Financial Services manager in the state of Wyoming was anti-abortion, as an example, that they could put Planned Parenthood out of business. And so I think those liberal justices realized that's not the world we want to live in. We want the laws of the land to prevail. We do not want lawfare. And so your National Rifle Association has created this tremendous First Amendment precedent.
That is excellent news. In fact, it was 9-0, I think, says a lot. So let's talk about your political advocacy. So we had a big presidential election in November. I would say it went the way that I think everyone in this room needed it to go, and for the sake of the country, it needed to go. How involved was the NRA in the presidential election, and what do you think helped with the outcome?
Yeah, well, couple things. The victory, I mean, first of all, November 5th was Americans taking the country back. I mean, that was that was democracy in action, right? And we know it was an electoral college landslide. But the 7 battleground states, which is where NRA participates, because we have to be smart about where we invest, because we didn't have as much money in 24 as we did in 16, but we had a lot more than people gave us credit for. And with our Institute for Legislative Action, led by John Comerford and his team, Lexi Higgins on our grassroots team, Dan Reed, state and local, those guys did a phenomenal job. And we participated in Pennsylvania, where we won a Senate seat back. We participated in Ohio, where we won a Senate seat back. We participated in Montana. So now we have 53 senators that vote on the right side of the aisle versus being in the minority. So we were pretty solid with our digital strategy. And I think John told me that 92% of the races we participated in, we were successful.
So when it comes to the political environment that we're in, it seems like a shame that the Second Amendment has to be a, quote, right-leaning issue, or that it has to be an issue that only you can rely on for Republicans to protect. On a national level, do you find there are any Democrats left who could come to the NRA and have a conversation with the members or be part of legislation to push back on these very far left anti-constitutional rights groups? Or are we at this point where the only people who respect the Second Amendment are Republican politicians?
I'm glad you asked that question. Because Democrats are buying guns too. I think that's your point.
Yes, they are. Yes,
right?
they
And
are.
when we go to gun shows and we see the demographic makeup of those that are there, it's not old white guys like me. It's a lot of people of color. It's a lot of ladies. And so I think that, and you can go back further if I might.
Of course.
If you look at the Brady bill and you look at the assault weapons ban under the Clinton administration, you had 60 Democrats that voted against that bill. Today it's 0. And I think that's your point. It's straight down party line. So I know our ILA team, they're looking at targeting some Democrats who are in very maybe conservative districts. Mm-hmm. But if I was a Democrat that wanted to be reelected, you might have to cross the aisle. Now, Nancy Pelosi ran a pretty tight ship, so we'll see.
Yeah, she's not in charge anymore, and Hakeem Jeffries is having a little bit of a problem, so we'll see how that goes. We are sitting in Georgia. It is technically now a battleground state. When I think of Georgia, I don't think of Georgia as a blue state, but you have a Republican governor and 2 Democratic senators. I'm from Arizona, which now has 2 Democratic senators, anti-gun senators, and a Democratic governor. How does the NRA play in that? And Donald Trump won both in November, by the way. So how does the NRA kind of navigate that scenario given the issue that you guys represent?
It's a little confusing. It's a little confounding. But this morning we had our opening ceremony, and I mentioned in the remarks, the very brief remarks that I made, that Georgia was a huge win for President Trump. But the margin of victory was less than 2%. It was less than 130,000 votes. And so NRA is ideally suited to be involved in states like Georgia, because getting the gun vote out can make that 1 or 2% difference. And I think we've been successful at doing that in the past. And that's part of the reason that we were targeted in New York. And that's part of the reason that that left side of the aisle, they want NRA focused, and just instead of being focused, they want us distracted on other things.
Right. And you're trying to get rid of those other things within the organization that may have been distracting, correct?
And we don't need expensive distractions.
We do not. That is true. Okay, so let's, you mentioned the Brady bill, but Brady obviously is an anti-gun group as well. What is the status of how strong and powerful those groups are? Moms Demand Action, Brady, and what is the state of play with combating them and what they're trying to do at this point in time, especially pre-November or post-November, rather?
We saw this USAID expose, if you will, and our tax dollars have been funneled to a lot of these anti-groups. So your NRA is operating on the generosity of our members and our donors, whereas the other side has weaponized government and circumvented our tax dollars to take away our constitutional rights. And so we have our work cut out for us. But I will say, fortunately for us, President Trump's come in, he's exposed it, and he's changing that situation. So the playing field should be evening out, but we have to remain vigilant.
Yeah, so you're feeling okay about the kind of power that they have given their lack of victory over the last election.
Absolutely.
So let's look forward to the midterm elections. The president usually has about a year and a half to get what he wants done. What do the midterms look like for the NRA?
Wow. Right now, we're fighting a fight in Virginia.
Both in the gubernatorial level and I would say the congressional level.
Yes. Well, the midterms it's going to be tough. I mean, what the incumbent party normally from the White House, the White House incumbent, that party normally loses seats in the midterms. And I'll just put it out there. I mean, with the stock market and the border situation, Ukraine, I mean, the president's moving so fast. He's moving at warp speed. He's creating a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion out there. And we support him. He knows he's got to get in there and swing the bat hot and heavy right now. And so that will have an impact on how successful he is in the next 12 months and where we are in 26.
So how do you cut through the noise of other issues to get your people to the polls on this issue when there's a lot going on?
Well, we'll do what we always do. We'll focus on the races that are close. If we have a chance and we deem it to be a fair race and a battleground type situation race, then that's where we'll put resources.
Okay. Let's get into a little bit of American history. I want to touch on your recent trip to Boston for the 250th anniversary of the shot heard around the world. So just tell the audience how that was and what is NRA doing for the 250th anniversary of the country?
Yes. Well, we ran a cover story in American Rifleman in March. Actually, it was a 6-page feature, and I'm a history buff. I know you are too, Katie. And so I do get to do some fun things in my assignment. And so going up to Boston this past weekend to celebrate that tremendous accomplishment was unbelievable. And so I got to meet Dick Heller, who was dressed in a Revolutionary War uniform. And I mean, think about what happened on April 19th, 1775. I mean, that was American citizens who felt threatened because a tyrannical government wanted to seize their firearms and their ammunition. And so through some, what I would call primitive communications means, our Minutemen, they met the Redcoats, but ultimately it was the beginning of the Second Amendment movement. That's where our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson and Dickinson, John Dickinson, had a critical role to play in the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776, but then the Constitution in 1787, and then it was with the Bill of Rights, and then it was ratified in 1791. But that day, April 19th, 1775, that's where the Second Amendment started. And the Founding Fathers learned from that. They said, we will not be subjugated. We will not be talked down to. We want our freedom. We want our God-given freedom. And so anyway, I got to talk about some of that stuff, and it was a lot of fun.
So going back to what I started this conversation with, which is the NRA isn't just any kind of institution. It is essential to the preservation and promotion of American culture. How does that tie into what you saw in Boston and your mission moving forward in your new position?
It ties right directly into it. I get a lot of mail. A lot of our members are senior citizens, and so they write letters, and they take NRA in a possessive sense. It's my NRA, and I need you to protect my NRA. And I was a little bit disenfranchised, but I'm beginning to come back around. I believe in the NRA. I believe in the mission. Keep going. We need a strong NRA. We support you. We support NRA. So that's the messaging that I'm getting. It's very, very positive. And I'm getting it today when I'm walking the show floor.
So we've seen, as you mentioned, a diverse background of new gun owners and buyers, whether they're women, minorities, everyone, Americans who are buying firearms and exercising their rights. So what is the NRA doing to reach the next generation so that this legacy and tradition continues?
Yes. Well, we have, you brought up women, so we have NRAwomen.com. We launched that website in April of 2020, and its editor-in-chief is Ann Smith, and so it's content for women, written by women. We put out a one-shot publication last year, What NRA Does for Women. We have 16 lady board members on the National Rifle Association. This is an organization that had 3 ladies as presidents. I know Sandy Froman's here. I don't know about today, but we recognize the constituency of women. They've been a big part of the National Rifle Association for years. And then we just put out another ladies' custom publication, Concealed Carry for Women, and that's available digitally and in print as well. And we also have a website called NRA Family, nrafamily.org. So, you know, our board of directors, our finance committee, they approve our budgets. We have NRA Media. We're reaching close to 18 million audience every month. And so we have a lot of different subject areas that we touch on, but family and female is a big part of that.
So we're going to wrap up here. So the members meeting is tomorrow. What is your message to them ahead of the members meeting? And then we'll let you give some final remarks.
Sure. The message is going to be really simple, that you can trust NRA again, that there will be no malfeasance on my watch, that you can trust your NRA again, that we're building our programs and services again. We're going back to basics. And we want you to engage at the community level. We want you to get involved. Like tonight, we're going to a Friends of NRA dinner, an NRA Foundation dinner. We do 700 of those around the country. So get involved. And we also have grassroots for the Institute for Legislative Action to get out there and put door hangers and knock on doors for the midterms. But get involved in your local community. Protect Second Amendment rights. Join, rejoin, donate.
Well, it's a pleasure to have been here. I'm a lifetime NRA member, daughter of the American Revolution. My grandfather's name is on the wall at NRA because he believed in NRA so much. So thank you for having me, and thank you for being willing to have this conversation. And we're looking forward to what the NRA has in store for the future.
Thank you so much, Katie.